is there a difference between anxiety and overwhelm? And do you see them as different things? That's what we're talking about today. And we're going to also talk about like solution that Dana found. So Dana is my guest today. My name is Dale Ecuyer, and I help families find holistic solutions to bring health, happiness, and harmony. Love that word, harmony, into the home. So Dana is a personal trainer. She is a fitness mentor. She is an engineer and the mom of 3 boys. So Dana, thank you for being with me here today. And I know it was kind of strange how things kind of transpired for you. Like you really weren't thinking that you had anxiety, but yet you felt really overwhelmed and you thought it was normal, which I think a lot of moms think this is normal, was supposed to be like in this fight or flight state because we have so much to do. So bring us your insight, what you found and what has really helped you. And now you really understand the whole idea of the difference between the two, I think.
Right. Well, I think that there's a huge stigma around anxiety. And I definitely would not have even understood that that's what I had. I just assumed as a mom with 3 busy boys and, trying to have my own life, supporting a husband, doing all of the things that, being in this just middle of the road, fine, just feeling fine and feeling overwhelmed just became normal. It became a normal thing. And I think in our society, there's a lot of keeping up with the Joneses and you're doing this and you're doing this and everybody's so busy and overwhelmed. And you just stuff it down and assume that that's the way that you're supposed to live and supposed to feel, right?
It's almost like I feel like it's almost like a badge of honor to say, oh, I'm really busy.
Yeah.
But that deep down inside, you were feeling a little bit different.
Yeah. Well, you get brain fog and your brain is going all over the place and you're frazzled. And what I have come to learn is that I did have anxiety. And if you want a label, because we're super excited about labels in society today, I'll read this to you. It's chandeliering anxiety, where it says when a seemingly calm person flies off the handle for no reason, they have pushed the hurt and anxiety so deep for so long that a seemingly innocent comment or event suddenly sends them straight through the chandelier. And I feel like as a mom,
wow,
like a bomb went off as soon as I read that. I was like, oh my gosh, that's me. I'm chasing you. I'm chasing you. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm trying so hard to keep it all together until I'm not keeping it together. And then when I'm not keeping it together, you lose it. And as a mom, a lot of times that comes then with tears and guilt afterwards. So then it just sends you on a downward spiral because you failed, so to say.
Can anyone relate to this? I have never heard that definition of chandeliering like that. That just like hit me like.
I did not. I assumed anxiety was just something where like people have the fear of going into a crowd and they get super anxious and like can't get out of the car or something like that. But what I've come to realize, and I think it was through you and I have talked about this microbiome, gut healing health that I went on a journey for with my son. And I decided to walk alongside him and do all of the things that he was doing. So we were both healing our microbiomes. And I'm an engineer, so I'm a nerd. I really liked the science. And I really knew that there was nothing negative that could come from me healing my microbiome. So I was all in. I was like, sure, I'm going to try these things. I'm going to take the supplements. I'm going to do the things. And I'm just going to see what happens. I saw a fantastic result with him and his ADHD. But then 3, 4, 5 months later, it's funny because we did this in the summer is when we started a couple years ago. And my husband died. And I asked my kids, he didn't die that year, but he had died a few years before. But at the end of that summer, I asked my boys, I said, hey, like we've done different things for the last few years in the summer. What did you like about this summer? Like, let's just take some mental notes for next summer because it's just me and them. Let's make some plans. And my oldest, who at the time was 14, he looked at me and he said, Mom, you didn't yell at us at all. So whatever you want to do. Like whatever you want to do. This summer you were happy, so whatever you want to do is good. And that was like a dagger in my heart where I was like, wait, what? What? And it was at that moment that I realized that I had anxiety that I wasn't managing. And I also recognized that what I had from healing my microbiome was stress resilience. And I had no idea really how either one of those things were affecting my life until I healed them almost on accident. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. It's kind of like, like if you like had inflammation and you don't realize that you had it until it's gone. And then you say, wait a minute, I don't have inflammation. You know what I mean? It's the same. It's so interesting, but that's amazing that your son said that to you.
Yeah, it's the same thing. So like now that I have this solution for my anxiety, and now that I have the stress resilience, so I'm able to be in the crazy situation and not have to stuff my feelings and then have a crazy reaction. My cortisol levels, because my microbiome is balanced, are even. And so my mood is even. So I'm able to recognize that my boys are going crazy and they're driving me bananas, but I'm able to calmly just say, keep order. Just keep order and keep the train moving forward without having the anxious feelings, having the anxiety that would, if we go back to the chandeliering, that would cause me to explode. I haven't exploded in a couple of years. And I mean, I just let my air my dirty laundry with like saying that I've exploded before, but I think it's it's normal.
I mean, who hasn't as a mom, especially like the mom of multiple children? Or you're trying to work, especially now, you're trying to work from home and you have kids that are like back here, like, mom, they need you. You're just like, yeah, I mean, it's really, really common, but it's so interesting. I mean, the cortisol is such a huge one. Like, and I know you know all the science of it, but if your cortisol levels are high because you're stuffing your feelings and you're kind of like going through the motions of pretending everything's fine, and then you fly off the handle, but if your cortisol levels are high and you're in fight or flight, you're not sleeping either because you can't, because your cortisol levels are so high. So that's like exacerbating everything.
And I think for us women, we also like most resonate with like holding on to belly fat. So then you're holding on to that fat because your cortisol level is up here. And typically when it gets way up here, that's when you blow. And then it drops way down. And when it drops way down, if your microbiome is out of whack, that's also when you crave French fries or McDonald's or Burger King or something nasty that you don't need. Right.
Right. It's so interesting.
I think if we go back to it, like I just assumed, which I think a lot of moms do, that living, if on a scale of 0 to 10 at a 5, 6, 7 being fine is just what we come to settle for. It's just like nobody wants to complain about it. Nobody wants to, constantly be talking about how they don't like something. So you stuff it and you just assume that this fine continuum is where you need to be. But there is such a better place if you can be optimized and feel fabulous, be energetic, be calm, be sharp, be happy. And I just
stress resilient. That's the word.
Stress resilient. I had no idea.
Yeah. They land differently.
Yeah. It's a thing. And you really don't understand, from my personal experience, you don't really understand what it is until you have it. Right. Like you were saying with joint pain, like you just don't understand what it is until you feel so much better. And I never knew that you could feel like an 8, a 10, or a 12 and still manage the chaos and have the stress resilience and now have my anxiety in check and do it holistically. It's really the most amazing thing.
It is. So talk about the mental fitness quiz. There's like a continuum from 0, which is kind of a disease state, and 10, which is optimal health, where you're feeling, no brain fog, clarity, energetic, sleeping well, great mood, no anxiety. Like the whole continuum. And like you were saying, people are kind of in that 5 range, but
Mhm.
because who would think that normal, like in the 5, like I've seen that continuum, and you'll see it too if you take the quiz, but the normal of the continuum is brain fog, allergies,
Mhm.
headaches, like all that kind of thing, like people see as like normal, but it's really not. And it shouldn't be. And most importantly, you can't be your best self if you're feeling like that.
Mm-mm.
Like, you can't be your best mom if you're floating in that 5, like you say, fine area. I mean, don't you want to be a 10? Like, I'm always striving to be a 10, and it's like a daily thing, right?
Yes. Like I feel like I perfected faking fine. Like
Mhm.
I found where I was in that zone of 5, 6, 7, and I could turn it off and fake it when I needed to fake it and then come home and crash. And I didn't realize that there was a better way. Like I haven't changed anything in my life other than healing my microbiome, which gave me the stress resilience to be able to bump up my life to a 10 or a 12. Like you can be off that continuum. You can wake up and feel so good that you're off the continuum, but you have to know that the options are out there and you don't have to silently suffer, and you don't need a clinical drug just to mask those feelings,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
There's just a difference. I want to feel all the feelings, but I want to be able to react properly, not
Yeah.
to be numb to what those feelings are. Does that
Right.
make sense?
Yes, totally. And I keep coming back to it's really stress resilience and how
Mhm.
you allow things to land on you and how you react to things. And
Yeah.
are you calm? And like I hear that all the time with people. That's probably one of the main things that we hear is when people start to balance the microbiome is they feel a sense of calm.
Hmm.
And they're able to handle. I remember a dad, the same thing. His kid said to him, "Dad, you're not yelling at us anymore." You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Like,
And I mean, that sounds so awful to say out loud. And we all want to be judgmental to like, oh, well, I mean, why would you be talking negatively to your child? But I think if we're realistic with our own feelings, we have all had those moments of
absolutely.
overwhelm. Like I can remember being at the grocery store with 3 toddlers, just trying to get food and get out. And it would take me down because people are going everywhere. Nobody wants to stay in the cart. I'm turning my eyes and Oreos are getting put in the cart. It just was being able to manage that. You need stress resilience. And I just wish that I had had this 10 years ago.
Yes, I hear you. Oh, I can totally relate to having 3 kids in the cart, have another cart with groceries, 3 kids
Yeah,
in the cart, and it's like utter madness. And
yeah,
people are watching you, and then you don't have enough money to pay for all the groceries. Oh, that's a lot of fun too.
yeah. Like
Oh my gosh.
watching you, I feel like we live in a society where everyone's watching you and judging you. And I think one thing that I want as a takeaway from this conversation with you is that it doesn't have to be that way. Like it's okay to talk about this. We're not bad humans. We're trying our best. We're trying our best to show up every day. But having that stress resilience allows you to show up at a higher level. So it allows you to up your game, and it's amazing. Like it's
It is. It is. And
yeah.
that's what we want is to live, a harmonious life. So
Mhm.
if you want to learn how to build your stress resilience, so that's the word of the day is building the stress resilience. Thank you, Dana, so much. And I love that we're breaking the stigma here.
Yes.
Like there doesn't need to be a stigma about not feeling well. And because we have these stupid labels, people are like, oh no, I'm not that. But yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, like, let's be real. People are
Mhm.
stressed out like big time. People have
Mhm.
anxiety. People have really, depression, low mood, whatever. They're not bad words, but there
Mhm.
are solutions. And that's what we're trying to bring here to you. All right. Well, thank you so much for being with me. I really appreciate you.